Hello and welcome to Harvest Girls International Incorporated. Hi, I'm Cris Meadows and I'm your host for Let's Talk About It. This is a show that we have created online just for you and with you in mind. We want to empower and equip and impact your lives by telling our stories and telling how we stood up and how we got up. And we want you to know that you can stand up and you can get up too. And so today, we're just going to go in and talk about it. It's going to be amazing. We have Nichelle Miller with us today, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her. But first, let me tell you about Harvest Girls International. Harvest Girls International is a women's empowerment organization designed with you in mind. At Harvest Girls International, we empower women to celebrate the journey. No matter what has happened to you or what you have done, yes, there's still a celebration in you. And so we also empower young girls ages 9 through 17 with the power to dream. We've been doing this for about 13 years. And so we're just so honored to be able to come into your home. Because of the current situation of our country, we're able to be more creative and to do greater things in the life of Harvest Girls International and in your lives. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to Nichelle Miller, and I'm going to let Nichelle tell you what she wants you to know all about her. And I want you to know that what we're going to be talking about today is your setback is a setup for your comeback. Yes, did you know that? Oh, I bet you didn't know that. And some of you say, yeah, I knew it. I've walked through it. I've experienced it. Yes, your setback is a setup for your comeback. Yes, and Nichelle's going to be telling you about that today. And so, Nichelle, go ahead and introduce yourself. Oh, we got to say this before we get started. If you love this station, please like, share, and subscribe. We would love to have you as one of our subscribers. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Nichelle.
Hi, I'm Nichelle Miller. I am your Mrs. Indiana, American Beauties Plus Queen 2020. I say newlywed. We had our 3-year anniversary yesterday. I am a mom of, thank you. I'm a mom of 5, ranging in age from 25 to 6. So I have a range there. I am a human resources recruiter by day. I am a life coach. I am a facilitator of training and information. So I'm just a little bit of all the things, I guess. You could say I'm every woman. I like to say that to myself.
It's all in you.
Yes. So I'm very honored to be here today and share some of my story with you.
Oh, awesome. You know, it takes a lot of courage to share your story. It's not easy going before people and telling them things about yourself. But what you know is that when you become free and you're on your way to your freedom, your voice is your power. And when you can release it into the atmosphere, it kind of just soothes the whole thing. It doesn't make everything wonderful or go away, but we know that it releases something on the inside of you that lets you know that you can do greater things. So Nichelle, I want to talk about your setback. Now we said we're going to talk about your setback, your setup, and your comeback. I want to talk a little bit about your setback. What do you believe in your life set you back?
It honestly came down, of course, everything's about choices. So it was my choice. It was my decision to be in a relationship that just wasn't healthy. And I stayed in that relationship for 17 years. And by the time I came out of it, I had no self-esteem. I didn't believe in me. I was just beat up. I mean, I wasn't physically abused. And one thing that was really interesting to me, I knew things weren't right. You know, your gut tells you this isn't right. Yeah. I don't belong here. This is not how I should be treated. And I had that feeling the whole way. But recently I learned that what I was going through was a form of domestic violence. It was the emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, you know, you think about the physical abuse and that's pretty easy to identify, but the emotional was really challenging to put a name on it. So I stayed in a situation where I just felt like I was nothing, just nothing. And I mean, I had put myself through college. I had gone back and got my master's. I had done all these things to empower and motivate and encourage and, you know, be me. But I just had this other voice that was just beating me down daily to the point after so long, you know, it's like you tie an elephant to a stick and they think they can't move it because they're tied to it. And that's where I was. I just felt stuck. So in that situation, I chose, because we can always choose to leave, but I had to build my inner strength up and my bounce back muscle enough to be like, no, you're better than this. It's time to go. And so, like I said, it took me quite a while. It was 17 years that I stayed in that situation. And finally, enough was enough. And it was very strange, even at that point where I'd made the decision to leave, then the emotional abuse flipped to guilt. Oh, how can you leave? Why would you do this to me? Why, and so then of course oh, well, maybe it's not that bad, and then I'm like, no, 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 no. It's time to go. So once I finally did that, that was the freeing moment from the setback itself.
So let me ask you this. We all know after we go through stuff that it just didn't start there. And it's something that we did when we were younger, or something that happened to us, or something we allowed as we were younger. And I'm speaking for myself, some choices that we made as being younger. What do you know from your childhood, or from when you were younger, or when you first recognized that it created this behavior that you would accept, or the path to this behavior?
Oh, I like that, the acceptance. Yeah, it was, my parents were married and went through a divorce, and it was ugly. I was 8 years old, and it was an awful situation to see. And I vowed to myself that I would never, never, never let my kids see something like that. And so it was that, plus the commitment to myself of, I didn't want to have a marriage fail. I didn't want to be seen as a failure. Oh, she was divorced, or so those things in my head, and the promise to myself, I will never let my kids see that. And in my mind, I had seen, I was like, well, it's not physical, so it's okay, because I had seen some of that with my parents. And that kind of put in my mind, well, at least it's not this bad, or at least it's not that. So I'd become very accepting of less than acceptable behavior, because it wasn't as bad as what I considered bad.
Mm-hmm.
So
how did you cope as a child? Now you're only child, correct?
Yes.
Only child. So how did you cope as a child, seeing that and accepting that? How, because you didn't have any siblings to bounce off of or to talk about it with. What did you use as a child? Because I know we all, just by nature, have coping skills. What did you use? Good or bad? We have them. So what did you do to cope?
Well, two things. One, I still do. I'm working on. One was food. So just kind of, zone it out and eat. But my other thing was I would read. And it's the most bizarre thing to have complete chaos going on all around you, and you're in the corner with a book, shutting it out. And you zone everything else out, and you're reading a book. And that was, my grandmother used to tease me because we would go shopping and all I wanted was a book. All the time. I mean, and I had stacks and stacks and stacks of books, but that was my escape. Anything that could happen in a book, I believed, okay, I could do that too, if I can just get away. And so that was my coping mechanism, that plus food, which I think a lot of us tend to do. But yeah, I'm a stress eater, but yeah, it was books. I just would zone out in a book.
Yeah, and that made you accelerate in school, is that correct? You were very, very, very smart in school.
Yeah.
And you were just a smart kid. And so in school, how did your classmates perceive you as a little girl, insecure at home with arguments and fighting, and then you're excelling in school? And so how were you socially? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Socially, very awkward. For a couple of reasons. One, being seen as smart, I was considered a nerd, or a good choo-choos, or a teacher's pet, because I wasn't getting, I guess, attention at home, positive attention. So to have a teacher say, oh, good job, or you got an A, or, that was exciting for me and motivating. So that was kind of my push. And then at the time I had super long hair. And so girls were mean to me because my hair was long, and said I thought I was cute and I thought I was better than everybody else, and I couldn't help it. I hated it because it was a pain to wash and comb and do all that. But yeah, so socially it was very awkward for me, and I stayed kind of in my book zone. And after the divorce, we moved around a lot, so I was starting new schools sometimes once every couple of weeks. I was switching schools, so it was really hard to get attached to anything and to cling on and make friendships, because I knew we'd be leaving soon.
Wow, that sounds heartbreaking
Yeah,
to
it
know
was hard.
that as a young kid, you just felt like, why make friends or why get attached because we move all the time. And so that was some insecurities there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So you ended up still doing well in school, going to college, putting yourself through college, getting married, you have children, of course. And so now you told us about your setback. And so now tell me the shift between the setback and the setup.
The shift really happened, and it sounds kind of cliche, but through Harvest Girls and some of the speakers that would come in and their books and their writings. And again, that gut feeling, the gut is so powerful, that gut feeling of this isn't right. And I deserve better than this. And when you surround
Yeah.
yourself by people that support that opinion and people that are about empowering themselves and growing themselves, you escalate. They talk about let me help you level up, let me escalate, elevate you. And so it was being around people that were on that level of not settling. And that's when it really was, hitting home for me of no, I'm settling. I wanted to have stability and I wanted to have security, but I'm miserable and I'm beat down. So that's when the shift really started to happen. And I was reading and working with mentors and making those changes internally, and even lost a ton of weight. I mean, just things were happening. And I was at the point where I'm like, that song, I don't need a man.
Yeah.
I don't need this. I don't have to
Trying to
settle
find
for this.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
I lost what I liked. I didn't even know what I liked anymore.
that's what my next question was. So did you go through, because I know I went through this. If somebody said, what are the three things that would make you happy? I don't know. What is your favorite color? I don't know. What are the things you like to do the most? I don't know. Did you go through that?
I did. And I had to take time and date myself. Because
Yes, say it again.
I had to date me. And because when you date, you learn about this person and
yeah.
exciting and fun. But
Yeah.
I didn't know me. And I knew what my favorite color used to be, but I was told that was stupid. And, so then, okay, well, that's not my favorite color. So I had just lost me. I didn't know what I liked. I would watch TV. I wouldn't laugh. I mean, I had just lost me. And so I had to take that time, like you said, I had to date myself and figure out me again. And then once I found the me again, I started stepping out, trying new things and then moving on. But yeah, it was hard because I really lost myself, really.
Yeah, because the things about the setup that we really learn later on is that everything that has happened can be used to set us up for the comeback. And so when you're talking about your set up, you were kind of set up from a child for your comeback, because who knew that everything that negative was happening was going to be that driving force that was going to push you to the comeback. We don't know that until it happens. And we wonder, why is this happening to me? Everybody else seems like if their life is wonderful, my life looks like it's going downhill. We have to know that everything can be used. Everything can be used. And so can you tell us a little bit more on the setup before we get to the comeback? What things were starting to set you up to use them for your comeback? Some of those things that were not so great in your past.
I had seen, my mother kind of restart her life. Mm-hmm. And, she had done school and she struggled, and it was times where she was working 2-3 jobs or whatever. And so I was like, okay. So even though that was a negative at the time to me, because I'd never had her around, she did what she had to do. And so it really had been instilled in me, you have to do what you have to do, And so I knew, I was like, okay, well, I have a good job. Okay, check. My kids were, at that time, they were moving out of the house. They were off to school. And I was like, okay, so I'm not in that, needing to coddle mommy mode anymore.
Yeah.
And I was really transparent with them about, I'm moving and this is the situation and why. And it was really amazing. They were supportive. And
you think your kids are going to be hurt? Oh, my kids are not gonna, they're gonna die, and then they be like, okay, mom, we already knew.
Yes.
And we,
Yeah.
that's
And
how
they
my
were like,
kids
well,
were.
why did it take you so long? This should have happened. And I was like, oh, well, okay. But yeah, the things that you've seen, and you, at the time, like you said, you're going through and you're like, oh, why is this happening to me? This is so horrible. And when you get to that other side, it's like, oh, okay. And I had seen great things. I mean, I had seen my grandmother and grandfather were married over 50 years, and just the amazing connection and the way he treated her and the respect and both ways. And I knew, I was like, okay, there's better. There's, even if it's not with a man, but even if it's just me, I deserve better than this.
Yeah.
So it was all those things that had happened. I mean, even moving around a ton gave me the ability to go into any situation and speak and communicate and not be shy and not kind of reserved, because even if I was going to be moving in a couple weeks, I was still so, trying to be friendly, or, meet people or learn names or whatever. And that has helped me just throughout everything I do. So
Well, let's talk a little bit about, we talked about the setback. We talked about the setup. Now let's talk about the comeback. What in your life has been the comeback in your life?
it's going to sound absolutely crazy, but pageantry.
Okay.
And
Tell
pageantry,
us about it.
because of my background, I'm a human resources person. So I started out judging pageants. And because I was an interviewer by trade, and started out doing that years ago when I was little. I loved Miss America, loved watching it, but I didn't look like them. I wasn't tall and blonde and thin and beautiful. And then when we got Vanessa Williams, I was like, oh yes, there's hope. But then
Yes.
I still wasn't tall enough. So I'd always loved it. So I started out as a judge and fell in love with the whole system and some of the things are not so great. And then one year after all of this happened, I was like, why not me? Why can't I compete? And I had no reason. I had no answer for myself. I was like, why not? I mean, and I know as women, we do this, and even as men, probably, we compare ourselves to others. And, well, I'm not like her. I'm not like, and I was like, why not? What do I have to lose? So I competed my first time and won, and have been going ever since, and learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about public speaking, learned a lot about interviewing, learned a lot about networking. And you never think someone you meet, years and years and years ago in whatever capacity will cross back into your world.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how, relationships are so big. And that has helped set me up as well. I started my own pageant system because I wanted to pay it forward. And that's part of my life coaching too, is I want to give girls and women the tools to not settle.
Yes.
So.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the comeback. Now, the comeback has to be greater than pageantry. I mean, I know that was one of your things, but there are other things involved, because not just pageantry, but you remarried.
Yeah.
So you had to be open. You had to learn how to open yourself again. You had to learn how to trust again. Give us a little bit more about the comeback. The comeback, let's put it like this. The comeback is the thing that you find the most powerful through it all. What is that thing that made you trust again, love again, have confidence to even, I don't know that I would have enough confidence to go through a pageant at this point. I would have to be coached for sure. And you did that and you won. And so just that comeback, that one thing or a couple of things or whatever you have that gave you that power for that comeback.
It was really learning to love me. And that's a daily process.
Yeah.
I think it's
you never get through with that.
It's journaling and it's affirmations and it's, loving on myself. But really for me, it was giving to others. And that's what opened everything up for me. And that's how I met my husband. We were volunteering together. So
there you go. Yeah.
Giving and serving is really what makes me feel good, what boosts me up. And no matter how yucky you're feeling, and I know this was personally, if I went out and served and made somebody smile or somebody feel good, that made me feel good.
Yeah.
And every time I can do that, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, really the propeller, I think, is giving to other people, no matter how I'm feeling, and getting out of my own way
Yeah,
Because
that's a big thing.
there's
I
always
always tell
someone.
people when they ask me, what can I do? They think that it's some magic pill or something. But I always tell them, they always say, well, I say, find a place to serve. Whether
Yes.
it's in church, whether it's at the mission, whether it's at the hospital, whether it's in the neighborhood, find a place to serve. That is the most gratifying, rewarding experience you can have, is to serve someone else. And
Yep.
what it does, it kind of opens up everything that's on the inside of you that makes you who you are by giving. And people say, well, I don't understand how giving is related to that. Can you explain that a little bit in your own words?
It's an amazing thing, and it on the outside doesn't make sense at all, because you can feel you have nothing to give. You're nothing. You have nothing. But when you give to someone else, and they're like so grateful or so glad to see you, and I mean, we can't now because of the pandemic, but
Yeah.
when you can hug someone or touch someone, and hey, I understand. Hey, I've been there. Hey, let me, can I pray for you? Can I, whatever, just to give to someone else, and for them to say thank you and to be
Yeah.
glad to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, you give because you want to give. You give to
Yes.
serve, but you get so much out of it. It's the wildest thing. It's just paying it forward really ends up coming back to you, even though that's not the intention. It's amazing.
Well, I always think that giving draws you to a higher dimension of yourself. It elevates you to a next level of who you are yet to be, because you have so much to give to the world. And we all have gifts and purposes and power. And it's how we use those or accelerate those makes the difference in who we become. And everybody has purpose. Everybody has power. Everybody has gifts on the inside of them. Uh, we have to tap into that. Like you said, Nichelle, you dated yourself. You tapped into yourself to find out, who is this woman? What is she made of? What is she like? What is she not like? What are her triggers? What gives her pause? What makes you, oh, this is not right. Like you said, that gut, this is not right. Everybody has that thing. They find out what makes me feel like this is not right. And so when you learn more about yourself, you can be better to somebody else, whether it's serving them, whether it's marrying, mothering, whatever you need to do, caregiving, because you can identify who you are. When you do not know who you are, you're just like a person stumbling around in the dark who cannot see. And because we were so created for so much more than we're using ourselves for. And I always say that you are not your circumstances or your circumstances. It's what has happened to you. It's not who you are. So as we end this very wonderful session with you, I'm so very proud of you. You have become the lead facilitator for our girls, All Girls Matter, Harvest Girls International, ages 9 through 17. And we're just so proud that you are being so creative and doing online videos to help still keep the program going, even though we're going through the pandemic here. And we have discovered something so great that we can reach girls all around the world with this online training that you do every third Saturday of the month. And I am so excited. But before we leave, I'm going to let you say the last word, and then we're going to leave. And I'm going to leave Nichelle's information and anything that you want to ask her. I'm going to leave her information in the description box, and then you can contact her, and she will reach out to you, I'm sure. And like she said, she is available to coach, and she does it all. She's an entrepreneur. She didn't tell you that. This girl has sold so many things and good at it. And I want you to know that we're just so excited about your life and what you're doing. I see your Mrs. Indiana banner and your crown back there. You have a crown on, and yes, you are a queen, and you are building other queens out here in the community. And so we're so very proud of you. So give us your last word on a setback. It's a setup for a comeback.
Never, ever dull your sparkle because someone can't handle your shine. So don't you go backwards. Don't you stop being you. Don't you stop being amazing. Don't lose yourself because someone else can't handle it. You just go out and be amazing. That's all I can say, and keep pushing forward.
And that's a wonderful, wonderful word to end on. And so I'm just going to leave you with our Harvest Girls affirmation. Transformation begins with you. You can find us on harvestgirls.com. See you soon.